And it's going to go for hours. Jeanine Pirro, the judge, has been watching and listening with us. And what do you make about Matt Gaetz's line of questioning?
Well,
and then Jerry Nadler comes back.
You know, I think Matt Gaetz was excellent in making his point that, you know, judges don't take money and then or give their own money and then end up sitting on a case that involves one of the litigants to whom they gave money. And I think more importantly, though, and I certainly give Matt Gaetz credit for what he did. He stayed on point. He didn't let Merrick Garland say, you know, to get away with it by saying I had nothing to do with this or it wasn't my call. But when he got to the issue of federal versus state prosecutions, Merrick Garland, I don't think, did so well, because he said even though Matt Colangelo went from, I think, Assistant Deputy Attorney General down to an Assistant DA in a local DA's office, he basically said he was only involved in a case that involved New York State crime, New York State penal law. That's not accurate, because this case in Manhattan, where this high-ranking Justice Department official ends up prosecuting in a lower Manhattan trial involving a local DA, involved federal law, because the three options that jury had involved the Federal Election Campaign Act, it involved the Federal Tax Act as the law that would buttress these expired misdemeanors and make them into felonies. So Merrick Garland is not accurate in saying they have jurisdiction over New York law, and that's why that case went there. Without the federal law, that case would not have survived.
One of the things that's going to happen today is an attempt by maybe both Republicans and Democrats to try to take on this point that Donald Trump made after his conviction and throughout the trial, which he said, this goes all the way up to President Biden, this prosecution of me, and they're going to try to get him to on that point, both Republicans and Democrats. How do you think he'll answer?
Well, I think we already know, based upon some of the stuff that he said to Matt Gaetz, and that is, you know, he wouldn't agree to send or to give them access to communications between the Department of Justice and the Manhattan DA or the New York State Attorney General Letitia James or Fani Willis in Georgia. So already you've got Merrick Garland punting on that, basically saying, look, it's a conspiracy to say that the Justice Department is corrupt and somehow involved in these other prosecutions, but we're not going to give you information that might lead you to that particular conclusion. And, you know, I think there's another issue here. I mean, Merrick Garland is facing a lot of issues here. Number one is the issue of the use of lethal force, or that they say is common in all cases. The second thing is the DOJ that he's attesting to now, involvement in the Trump case. And the third thing has to do with refusing to hand over the testimony, the actual audio of Joe Biden with the Robert Hur investigation. Now, what is the difference between a transcript and the audio? And there are allegations that the audio tape itself has a lot of ums and ahs and doesn't answer the question. He's reminded to answer the question. And so when the Attorney General of the United States comes out and says releasing the audio of the president would chill cooperation and would harm the integrity of future investigations, when yesterday the claim was AI deepfake is a problem here, that didn't fly. So now they're using this generic, we can't release the audio and you can't hold me in contempt for that. There's a lot of issues here.
There's another, Hunter Biden trial is now underway, and we just want to point this out to viewers that opening statements have begun. Apparently a few jurors were late earlier today, so they got off to a late start. And the prosecutors are laying out a case right now. What the defense is going to argue is that Hunter Biden wasn't an addict when he filled out the form because he just came out of rehab.
Right.
What prosecutors are already arguing is that they're going to show in court, apparently, they claim, that Hunter Biden was in contact with Beau Biden's ex-wife and said he was waiting for his drug dealer at the time when he acquired this gun. So that's the opening salvo on behalf of the state. Well,
it appears that there is overwhelming circumstantial evidence that adds to the direct evidence of the form itself, as well as the illegal possession of that gun. And in addition to that, in his own words, he says in his book, Beautiful Things, in October in Delaware of 2018, all my energy revolved around smoking drugs and making arrangements to buy drugs to feed the beast. Those are from his words. So in addition to the laptop, in addition to the testimony of Catherine Buell, his wife at the time, who said she'd have to check the car to make sure there were no crack pipes when their kids went in the car.
So
I mean, it's so
here's another one. Hunter Biden's attorney said today they're planning on calling Joe Biden's brother.
James
as a witness in this federal case.
to say what?
I'm not sure. It's just crossing right now.
Probably character witness, right?
Yeah, could be.
Close.
Could be. We'll see. We'll find out together.
Wow.
But anyway, this trial's getting underway.
But
We'll
if he
have plenty of
calls him
time
as
to
a
talk about
character
it.
witness, you know, Hunter Biden was in the military and failed a cocaine drug test.
That's why he got kicked out of the Navy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And, you know, if they open the door, all that stuff is going to start
It's pretty
coming
interesting to think back that because they overreached a couple years ago in trying to get him immune from all crimes in the future, because they did that and the judge caught it, that's why they're there today.
That's
and it didn't have
exactly
to be
right.
That way, it's amazing.
That's exactly right. If they had handled this case the way they handled any other case, it would have been probation. But now, I mean, I think that there's a lot more at stake here.
All right, Pinky Tuscadero. Gonna see you on the 5.
See you later.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.